Typically when that's happening, whether it's software or services, a lot of times what the government will do is they'll go through the down select process, right? You'll hear that a lot of times where, hey, we selected these three companies, and what it really means is these are the three closest one in price, and they usually say this phrase, "We want you to give us your best and final offer." That's kind of what you'll typically hear around that. And when you hear give us your best and final offer, it doesn't mean you have to actually change your price. It just means you need to justify your price. And
Oh,
if you
really?
can, yeah, if you can do that really well, you don't have to change your pricing at all and you can still win. Most people don't understand their pricing. That's just the way it is. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Most people don't understand how they get to that bottom line. They just put some numbers in and they think, oh, let's multiply it by 1.7, and then if that doesn't work, next time we'll multiply it by 1.6, and then we'll keep playing with that till we get the right number. But if you know your numbers and you are looking at the historical data, like using tools like calc.gov and going back and looking at past contracts, because you can go back and look at all these past contracts and things and find out what's the government paying for this. You can go look at GSA schedules of your competitors. What's the government paying for this stuff? And once you know that and you really understand the pricing, you can come in and justify your pricing and not have to budge most of the time. So
It's true that you said that because I got a contract in Galveston, Texas once to change out like some cooling parts for a rusty old AC unit.
mhm.
And they said, hey, your price is too high. And we just justified it really good. And it was like 30 grand or something. And they said, okay, you're right. And we didn't change
Yeah,
our price. And they
yeah.
gave us the contract. Now, I am curious, let's go a little bit further. And since you're doing the service side, I'm sorry, the software side, I'm doing the service construction side. Do you ever come across a situation where they're like, hey, you have to have a local office? And if so, how do you overcome that?
I don't think I have ever had a client tell us that. I know I've seen clients run through situations where they're like, hey, they went with these guys because there's an office that's located 5 miles outside of the base, and proximity was really important to them. But most of the time, I don't see that as an issue.
We have a guy who, within our course that I teach, does over 75 million a year, and he just basically has an office out of his subcontractors
Yep.
building.
Yeah.
Just hires a local sub.
Yep. It's not hard. I mean, that's the thing that I would say for most contractors, again, regardless of what you sell, is it's not hard to fix the problems that the government says is, hey, this is a roadblock to you doing business with us. It's usually not hard. Now, when you get into like bonding and certain things, so some of those can be a challenge. I mean, they can all be solved. I would say the biggest challenge for a lot of newbie government contractors is that first 60, 90 days when you win a new contract and you've got to front load all the cash and wait on those invoices to get paid. That's probably one of the biggest challenges for most government contractors when you're just getting started, because most people aren't sitting on 2 million in cash. That's just not the way it is for a lot of people. And so having to finance that stuff is often a challenge. And that's why I usually tell people, look, start small. You don't have to go do the $10 million deal right out of the gate. In fact, the government's probably not going to give you a $10 million contract out of the gate. They're going to want to start you smaller than that. And so start small, gain that past performance, and then you can overcome that cash by, starting to stockpile cash and get credit and different things like that. So
Beautifully said. I teach the same thing to the people that follow me. Start small, get your past performance up, get a reputation, and then go
yeah,
after the 250 to 500 or the
yeah,
500 to a million.
yeah.
But don't shoot out the gate for the big ones right out the
Yeah.
gate.
And don't be afraid to team with a larger company that has the cash. Don't be afraid to team with them. That's, again, people look at teaming as a bad thing, and it's like it's only a bad thing if you do it poorly. So